Hello, hello, and welcome to the E.G.C, the Erudite Games and Comics. Now as we were going through the week, I've been dropping. I work at Melbourne, which was for you guys Monday, which I really loved. Then I did Lion and the Eagle, which I thought the splash pages were really fun and cool to look at, and so I thought it was an overall good book. So particular day is Wednesday, which for you guys it will be Wednesday on my birthday. Now I will be out and about and enjoying my birthday, but I wanted to drop this one on Wednesday because I wanted to start a new series where I'm gonna be talking about a comic and their movie adaptation. Now, as usual, we're going right back to DC with the Batman, The Dark Knight Return, which I watched this movie three times. I didn't watch it three times in a row. I watched it three times in total. So I watched, but I when I finished this book, I watched it for the third time right after I finished this, where I can have my full opinion of the comic and the movie itself. And I wanted to give reviews for both of them. I tried to make this video earlier, trying to do just the comic and then the movie, but the video was getting a little too long. I wanted to keep it short for around 15 minutes. This one will be probably about 16, 17, because I will be also talking about more stuff just a little bit after, so you can just stick around if you have the chance, and let's get right into it. Now, from the beginning, part one of for the movie part one of Batman Dark Knight Return, it is very close. It keeps the characters look exactly like the character. And this is the comic. This is one of, if you don't like very wordy comics, you're going to see a lot of this. But it keeps a lot of the characters looking exactly how they were from in the movie. So I was like, okay, that's really nice. They even kept some of the news crews. Uh, these people over here, they stayed the same. So I was like, okay, that's cool. They didn't really change much. Part one was more true to it. Now we did run into, or I ran into an issue where Two Face was becoming free in the movie, which he does become free also in the comics. But there is a conversation that happens with Toyman and the Joker, and and they're talking about, or Toyman's talking to the Joker about trying to smuggle, some bombs out to give to Two Face, and Joker is like, oh, he starts to smile because Batman's back, so because he kind of like lost all sense of himself because Batman was his like whole reason of existing. So that part is not in the movie. So I was like, that's kind of a miss. And I was like, okay, but I was like, let's go for the rest of that part with the whole Two Face interaction, it was good. It was good. Now, one thing that the comic does do a lot, which I wish the movie did. I don't know why the movie didn't do it. I thought the movie would have been better. Excuse me. Uh, is a lot of internal monologue went on in this comic. Like I said, this is a wordy comic, a lot of little panels, a lot of inner monologues. You go for Batman, you get it for Commissioner Gordon, you get it for Superman, you get it for Joker, and you also get it for our new Robin, Carrie. Carrie over here. You also get it for her. So they all have like internal monologues that goes on throughout the comic. In the movie, some of the internal monologue is just voiced out loud. The rest of it doesn't exist. It just never happens. But it did keep playing on to where Batman's old and he's still like struggling. He's not as young as he used to be. The fight with the mutant, the first one was actually pretty similar. Yeah, with the mutant when they actually fight and all this, and actually have this good battle right here. We get to see the Batmobile, which, oop, oh my god, move over. Okay, the Batmobile. We got to see the Batmobile, which I'm not a fan of this Batmobile. It's a Bat tank. You should have just called it the Bat tank. But I mean, to each their own. One thing that the comic also does that the movie doesn't is it shows the mutants actually doing terrorist activity. I don't know why the movie avoided that because it shows like how the mutants are actually terrorizing the public. Like they're bombing or they're shooting people, they're causing all kinds of mayhem. And it's showing how like the citizens are scared and Batman is now like the symbol for people to show him like, hey, it's time for you guys to stand up. Because Batman's like, I think he's like pushing almost 50 in this series. I think he might be over 50. And so I was like, okay, but the movie doesn't want to add that. But I was like, all right, that's probably about me being a little picky. But I thought it should like really show like how evil the mutant gang really is. Now, of course, Batman almost loses and gets saved by Carrie, which was in the both the movie and the comic, which is right. So I was like, okay, that's fine. And they have in this talk back in the Batmobile, the Bat Tank, and so we're going through all of that, and I thought that was pretty cool how they still kept that part the same. They kept uh, Alfred the butler. I don't know why I can't think of his name. He showed up in almost every Batman issue in the world, but they kept him the same. I mean, Carrie, she still looks like this in the movie, so I thought that was pretty cool. They took out, maybe because it was probably a lot of, because like I said, this is a wordy comment, because it was a lot of words. They have some of the discourse between two people, one that's like a super Batman supporter and one that really isn't, but it doesn't really go into a lot of the public. It only goes around like only around the beginning, like people who think Batman is a menace and people who love the Batman, who think like, yes, finally Batman's return. People are starting to stand up for themselves one by one, but the mutant leader is still out there. He gets locked up, but he still takes out the mayor in both the movie. I thought the movie did a better job because it was pretty bloody, so I thought that was good. I was like, okay, now at least it shows that how evil that he is. So how he escapes is still the same, like just like in the comic, he escapes the same way in the movie where they plan it. They have all the mutant gangs show up behind the pipe. I don't chiv, but same way in the movie, the same how they got carried to do the underground or undercover, said underground, undercover stuff. Same way how they got all the mutants, so that was the same. And then the mutant leader escapes through the tunnel the same way, and Batman are fighting in the little what they call the pipe, but it was behind like one of these sewers places, and then that's when they started to duke it out. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this is the first time where I actually like the comic fight scene over an animation fight scene. In the comic, it literally explains why they're thigh deep in mud and water that you can't really jump or kick. In the movie, that's about all they do is jump and kick. I'm like, hello? Okay, I guess we just throw that out the window. Like both of them were just jumping straight up out the water and just giving out straight kicks right to the face. I'm like, okay, you're gonna have to explain that to me, but of course it doesn't. But I guess it makes the fight scene cooler, but the comic itself explains why they couldn't do it. I was like, I know you read it. Could you just keep it like that? But I digress. He beats the mutant gang leader finally, and then the mutants break apart. Some become the sons of Batman who go after criminals. Some still are the mutant gang, but they're in like a smaller portion without a real leader. Some people join other groups and all this. And so Batman's undercover trying to fight this other people and figure out Two-Face and all this other stuff. And Superman is told to come in and to tell Batman to go back into retirement. So, of course, they have a conversation the next day because Batman's like, hey, you're in the way. I'm doing something. Bother me tomorrow, my place, right? So they do that, or Superman leaves, and then they find Two-Face, or Two-Faces. Now, Two-Face has a bomb, or two bombs. He has two bombs, and he's asking for money. One nitpick, this is super nitpicky, but this is the second time I've seen this done. When I get to the next comic, I will. You're going to probably hear me complain about this nitpicky thing either. In the comic, or in the movie, he says, "I demand $2 million." In the comic, he says, "I demand 5 million." 2 million. I was going to say 2 million, but I got bills to pay. Why can't you just keep that one line? It's not that hard. You already had the scene. Just keep the line. I don't, to me, I don't know why. Why change that specific line? That made no sense to me. But that's super nitpicky. I got it. So we don't have, I'm not going to actually use that as my full review, but I just thought that was the, should be said. They whole, the whole thing when, Batman is fighting everyone and, uh, he's like he's taking on Two Face, and Two Face is like he gets taken down, and like we find out that Two Face just cannot cope with this stuff. So I'm like, okay, so like this makes sense. So I like that, and they kept it the same for just like in the movie, just like in the comics. So I thought that was good. Now we go on to the next day. The whole conversation between Batman and Superman was better in the comics because of the monologue that Superman was having, because of the monologue Batman was having. They just this is the problem when you take certain things out, when it kind of makes more sense when you actually read it. If you only watch the movie, I say definitely give the comic a chance because these monologues matter so much. And there's another part where the monologue 100% matters, and it's exactly why it took this. But it's in a later part of this. So, but as we're going, Superman's telling Batman like, "Hey, the government's telling you to retire." How or in the monologue, Superman's like, "How went to the stars." Diana went or Wonder Woman went back to her people, and who? Oh, and Arrow, unfortunately, got he actually had to get actually hurt by Superman because he loses an arm. So, but in the movie, they keep it or they essentially just talk openly about that, which that part's fine. So I thought that was okay. But Superman has to fly off to go fight the Russians because this is kind of like in a Cold War ish like setting. Like their Russia's about to attack Court Maltese, and now it's up to Superman and the American soldiers to stop Russia from invading a whole country and and doing whatever they want with it. So which they accomplished that, but now Joker wants to get out because he wants to run into the Batman. Now this is kind of where I like where it made more sense when Joker was already talking to Toyman because he already was talking to him earlier. So seeing Toyman just appear in the movie because we don't see Toyman until well, I think we see like a scene of him, but we don't actually see a conversation of him in the movie. We just Toyman just appears and his toys are in there, uh, and now but they keep the Batcopter the same. But yeah, with Toyman's in there, he disappears and that's just it. But in the comic, there's like conversations about with him, and Joker. Joker, he's in this little talk show, after I guess that actually the only conversation that they did have, I'm sorry, was Toyman talking to Joker to wear some nose plugs and only to breathe through his nose. But it kind of makes less sense in the movie, but more sense in the comic because of the earlier conversations. And if you don't really know who Toyman is, that's why it kind of like even makes even more less sense. But they kind of changed the scene of how Joker, takes out everyone. But I mean, it's still the same to me. So that part was fine. They did remove a character, which I thought that was weird. In the comic book, Joker like kisses a woman, and because Joker is wearing lipstick that is like mind controlling, and how in some of the stuff he uses his gas, and everyone is stuck with a smile and they can't stop laughing. And so Batman's trying to fight his way in, but he's getting stopped by the cops and the new commissioner, which they actually keep that all the same, which I thought that was pretty nice and cool of them. But of course, Batman fails. The commissioner can't get to the Joker fast enough because they're trying to fight the Batman. But we also find out because Batman's like, all right, if there's any danger, just use the word boosters, and you don't have to understand. It's all voice activated, and that'll be it. But Carrie actually changes it to peel. Now in the movie, they don't explain why Carrie did it or how Carrie did it. In the comic, it was literally it could take like 10 seconds. Like, oh yeah, I had to learn something while I was in school because that's literally what she says. I'm like, okay, why couldn't you just do that? Like these are like I know I keep choosing nitpicky stuff, but it's always something. It's like a bam this, bam that, bam this, bam that. So there's always something getting constantly taken out. So now Superman's in over there in the open seas fighting Russia and all this, and he's having a whole bunch of internal monologue talking about like everything that's going on and all this. And so I thought it was good in the movie we just see just a whole bunch of action and fight scenes, so which is fine. Because like I said, they took out the internal monologue. You're not gonna get it randomly. You're just not. But now Batman is on a headhunt to find the Joker. Now we fast forward. Joker finds Selene, Catwoman, and he uses her to find another woman and to put this, the same mesmerizing lipstick on the mayor, or not. It's not a, yes, no. He's not a mayor. He was a government official, and he essentially they use it to have him jump off this like giant tower building, one of the taller buildings in Gotham. Which was fine. I mean, it was just like in the comics, but I mean, we kind of really didn't see much in the comics. And I mean, it was just for Joker just to have a laugh. That's honestly why he did it. He didn't really do it for any other reason. Joker just wanted to laugh about it. So, and in a sense, he wanted to leave clues for Batman. I guess that's another reason why he did it. But he runs in. We fast forward because the part right after the government guy jumps off the tallest building, the part where Batman's in disguise and he's talking to one of the commissioners, that's still primarily the same. It's a little bit different because in the comic Batman does get nicked in the shoulder by the commissioner's gun. But I mean, if you took that out, leave it in. I mean, I'm not going to be really nitpicky about that. So to me, it's okay. So we fast forward, we see Selena tied up and dressed in as Wonder Woman, which is just like in the movie. It's the same in the comic. Selena's like freaking out. He's like saying Joker is worse and worse, and he just like this ends the night. Don't worry about him no more because Batman is actually finally fed up. He wants to just take out the Joker for good because he tried to constantly let him live, which he has an internal monologue like all these people I lost because I keep letting you live. So in the movie, he just voices that out to Joker. So I was like, okay, that's fine. At least I still get that part. But before Batman actually runs into the to Joker, they were passing out in the comic. They were passing out cotton candy, and all these it's like 20 kids like all eat this unfortunate candy, and Batman and Carrie, Robin over here, they see this incident, and Batman's having his monologue saying this is the part where Carrie is no longer a 13-year-old little innocent girl. She's now seeing like the truth of real villainy. So Joker and Toyman are talking on a roller coaster with two extra more multiple bombs and stuff. So and they keep talking, and that's when Batman finally sees the Joker, and Toyman saying like, "Hey, he's coming, he's right there." In the movie, we go all the way back to the cotton candy place. We don't get that. I kind of get it because it's we can only do so much because kids' eyes can only see so much or only allowed because ratings and stuff. But I mean, you kind of did have a bloody parts. You had some pretty bloody parts. I was like, oh, I mean, but it's okay. They changed that part, so they no longer had the conversation at the roller coaster in like how it is in the comic, which explains why they're at the roller coaster. They instead for the movie they're at the confession stand with the cotton candy, and they just essentially send the dolls, the Toyman's dolls, into the coaster, and Carrie has to go stop them. They do send one to Batman, just like in the comics, because they're on the little glider thing, the little bat glider, and they jump off at the last second. Both is pretty much the same, so I mean, no problem there. Uh, Carrie, but in the comic, Carrie's already at the roller coaster. She's using her slingshot because she's a really good person with a slingshot to take out the other toy. which she does succeed. She does miss, and because she's nervous. This is like a very serious situation, and she if she messes up, it's over. But she luckily does get away with it, and then the Toy Man in the comic is choking the life out of her because she got rid of all the bombs, and Toy Man's like mad, so he's like choking the literal life out of her. But they're on a roller coaster, and Toyman is a big dude. He looks like he's 8 feet tall, but he's not paying attention since he's not strapped into the seat. He's on top of the thing. He he ends up smacking his head on one of the entry level things, and cracks open his skull, and then that's how he loses his life there. In the movie, I don't really like it because it kind of paints Carrie as like a murderer, which is wrong because like she kicks him off of it. And I mean, he's still a big dude. Like I don't care. That wouldn't happen ever. But she does it, and he gets his shirt snagged, like on the back of his collar snagged on one of the things that pull roller coasters up. It's like a little chain belt. He gets snagged, and it pulls him up, and you just see a whole bunch of blood splatter. It's like and because that's kind of how it is. I did not like that. I was like, the other way was better because Carrie is still innocent. This makes her seem careless, which I thought that was bad. But then we get into the Joker part. Now this part is different because, like I said, we skipped over the cotton candy part. But Joker is in the movie is just shooting random people, which he does shoot random people in the comic, but nowhere near as much. But I guess it's to help add to the kill count of the kill count that they skipped over. So I was like, you added this extra part for what? Because you missed the kill count earlier. But I was like, whatever. Now Joker and Batman are both having monologues going on, which was really good in the comics. And I mean, in this one, in the movies, he's just running around laughing and shooting. So this part, where in the conversation between Batman and Joker for the final time, all Batman's like thinking all I have to do is just take his neck or his head and just twist, trying to snap his neck out, and at the same time Joker's like stabbing the mess out of him, like getting stabbed in the abdomen and the chest. Oof, ow, holy gosh. In the movie, that's the same way. Of course, we don't get the monologue of either one, so we just see the action. But just like in the both, he doesn't actually finish the job. He essentially just pops his spine, and so Joker is paralyzed from the waist down, and he starts to hear the cops come, and and Joker's like, it doesn't matter what you do, they will always think that you did this. So he gets the last laugh, and he proceeds to finish the job that Batman refuses to do. It's finally break his rule. So so he ends up, escaping. He burns Joker's body because he knows he's right. He knows Joker's right. They will just blame him for everything. He escapes, and so this part is a little different. It's kind of similar. They just essentially added more, so I don't think that was too big of a problem. But I thought that part was okay. And so now Joker's gone. When you see Two Face gave up on life, Toyman ended himself. Well, in the comic, he ended himself because he wasn't paying attention. And the movie, it kind of was like the opposite because it's Carrie's fault because she was careless, which is bad. It's a bad look for Carrie. So I didn't like that. And so now we are at where the Russians lost the war or forfeited, and now Superman is back on Earth, or back not back on Earth, back at Gotham. Talking to Batman, and then actually no, I'm sorry, I am absolutely sorry. He did not go back to Gotham. He just went back to the States. He went back to the States, but Russia launches this nuke. Now this part is where the monologue really does matter. Superman stops this giant nuke, but as he's doing that, like it goes to the people at Gotham. We're seeing Commissioner Gordon do his monologue about how he's coping with retirement and what he's doing, and so because of that, we start to see these two news crews because he's walking, he's getting some groceries for his wife, and they're talking about like this nuke is explosion and it's going to cause this massive power outage because it's going to throw this giant electromagnetic pulse, a giant EMP out, and just like power outage everything because EMP just shuts off all electricity. It just will not work. So Superman does that, and in that, so I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. They kept that part the same, but the problem is, we see him. Oh, sorry, we see him move the missile, fly away. Kept that the same. It blows up, but the major problem is the internal monologue of Superman. Now, for this Superman, because for in the movie you just see this. You don't really get this whole internal monologue when Superman's talking and reaching out, talking to Mother Nature or Earth, and he's like, "These people, they're just young. They don't know no better. I just need your help one last time. Let me give some of your life energy, because because of the bomb, he's in an electromagnetic storm, and the clouds are covering out the sun, so he can't get no light, a good source of his powers. So he finally like touches like the sunflower over here. He kills a lot of the plant life around him. In the movie, he does touch the sunflower, but it just makes him seem like some kind of weird zombie. I thought that was really creepy. I was like, in the comic, it makes sense because we know why he's doing it. If you never read the comic, you don't know why he's doing it. He's just like, I can absorb half of the earth if I wanted to. And I was like, no. Now you make Superman look evil. But of course, now Gotham's rioting, which another part where they change. I don't know why they keep changing stuff. They changed this to where the Sons of Batman are back at their little first hideout, and they're talking about like, yes, this is our time to take over, blah blah blah. And then Batman shows up and he's talking to them like, no, this is how we're gonna do it. And people like listen to him because they're the Sons of Batman. They respect Batman a lot. So they run into another remnants of the mutant gang. They end up having a fight and stopping them. It was like, hey, like, no, you are joining us as well. Gotham is in trouble. Gotham is burning. No power works out. We are saving Gotham. So now you have like regular people doing rioting, and then Batman, the Sons of Gotham, and the rest of the mutant gang, they end up going there and stopping all the public and actually start helping Gotham. So Gotham City is like known to be one of the only places in the U.S. because a lot of I think almost all of the U.S. is without power. So we get through that, and so we have that so that was changed because in the movie they don't have the Sons of Batman and the mutant gang fighting each other. It just goes straight to the Sons of Batman stopping the public from rioting. So I was like, okay, that's a little different, but we also miss a lot of conversations that happen in that. So I was like, okay, but I don't know if that's nitpicky or not, but I don't know. Please put what y'all thought about that in the comments below. Now the final parts. Oliver, Green Arrow, he talks to Batman about, like, he knew that this is the one day that was always going to be down to Batman and Superman. They were always going to have a fight. The planet's too small and y'all guys are too big for this planet to share. So they kept that the same. I was like, okay, that's cool. So I was like, yes, like we still get Oliver. Oliver looks like how he is in the comics. So I was like, all right, cool. Now, so they start so Batman, or not Batman, sorry, Superman, after he regained some of his strength from the bomb. Some of it, he's not completely healed, but I mean, Batman is also torn up, his arms messed up, he's bled, he's lost some bleeding, got a bunch of cuts and stabs and all this stuff. So he's gonna have this one final battle with Superman. So which they kept the same place, Crime Alley, because Superman comes to Gotham, or comes to Wayne Manor, and like with his laser beam, he just like giant bolt lasers where, because the president wants Batman stopped. So, and Batman's like just looks up and says Crime Alley. So they kept that the same. They're actually fighting Crime Alley. They take the Bat tank. It's not a Batmobile, bro. It's a tank. It's a Bat tank. The thing is huge. It takes up the entire street. It's a tank, bro. Um, so I'm sorry. They say it a Batmobile in the comics, and I just can't let it go. They say it a Batmobile in the comics. It's not a Batmobile. It's a Bat tank. Why can't you just say tank? I think this is the worst Batmobile if it's supposed to be a Batmobile. But anyways, um, they end up fighting in Crime Alley, which is primarily the same. Of course, we don't get the internal monologues for both of them, so we just get them having conversations, which was very little, and we don't also get Carrie's internal monologue, which is sad. But they end up finding a plan. The whole fight and the ending part was essentially the same. Batman has a heart attack. Alfred dies after he blows up the Wayne Manor, and Oliver gets that one shot out for the kryptonite. And before Batman has a heart attack, he has the internal monologue. He's like, "I always want you to remember the man who beat you." But he just says it out loud, which is fine. I was like, that part's fine. At least you kept that. But so it ends the same. I did like how the movie ended with them adding Oliver instead, or adding Oliver at the end of the new cave. I thought that was pretty cool because I was like, at least we still get Oliver, and that was essentially the comic and the movie. I said I was gonna keep it to 15 minutes, but I did ramble on a lot longer than I wanted to. But next time I will try to do that as well, because I do have a lot other ones I read. I read Flashpoint for Flash, which is dealing with Reverse Flash and Barry Allen, and then I've read DC Frontier. And I've also read like Superman, Batman, and like a couple others. I've read Jeff Johns' Superman versus Brainiac. But I will be talking about, well, like I said, I'll be rereading all of those and rewatching their movies. I have no problem with doing that because I thought their comics were pretty good. But like I said, I'll try to keep this more shorter than how it was with this one. But I want to give you my final thoughts. First, I want to give you my review of the comic Batman, just the comic itself. I thought it was a solid, 7.5, 8 out of 10. About like a 4 out of 5, if you would. I thought the art was kind of nice. I didn't. It's not my favorite art, but I didn't think the art wasn't too bad. I wasn't sure about all the pencil and the inking, but to me, I still think it's all in all fairly decent. The story was way better in the comics, obviously, but all these little short panels, if you're not a fan of that, I probably would say that I wouldn't recommend this comic for you because there's a lot of these little panels, a lot. I don't shiv. Let's see if it'll focus. Yeah, we don't shiv. Oh crap, it's right over here. Gonna be at the pipe. But yeah, this is a 8 out of 10. Now the movie, if you plan on watching the movie and not reading the comic, I think you would enjoy it for the most part. Some of the stuff that I was nitpicking just wasn't, you kind of not get it. But then the whole Superman thing, or how Carrie looks like more of a careless person than a hero that she wants to be. I thought, some of those things you might not like. So for the movie itself, if you don't plan on reading the comic, I think it was still a decent movie. A 7 out of 10, a 3.5 out of 5. I can't give it a 4 out of 5. I don't think it was that good. I still think it's one of the better ones. Now, how I feel about the movie after reading the comic, I would honestly give it a 5 out of 10, a 2.5 out of 5. All this nitpicking stuff just made me not really a fan. I was more of a fan than some of the other movies I watched, and I can't wait to get into those because I will definitely be complaining about those movies and a lot of things that happen with them. Now, like I said, I will try to keep it shorter, but if you've read the comic, definitely let me know down below if this got you interested in the comic. Also, let me know down below. Uh, if you watched the movie, what did you think about the movie? And like I said, you can watch part one and part two of Batman: The Dark Knight's Returns free on YouTube with ads. If you just want to watch the whole thing, the deluxe edition, you can also rent on YouTube and it gives you both part one, part two. But as usual, put your thoughts down below, hit that like button, don't forget to subscribe, and have a good one.